Welcome to Julie Whitney Scott Presents Let's Talk Theater, a Mind for God production sponsored event, heard only on WGRN LP 94.1, the Green Renaissance Station. Let's Talk Theater. Welcome to Let's Talk Theater. I'm your host, Julie Whitney Scott, and with us today is Leda Hoffman, the artistic director from CATCO. She's going to talk to us about their latest production. Welcome, Leda. So glad to see you again.
Great. Thanks so much, Julie, for having me.
Why don't you tell us about you're getting ready to start tech rehearsal. Tell us about this newest adventure that we can all see from CATCO.
CATCO is going outdoors this summer. The final play of our season is An Iliad. And An Iliad is a play, it's about 10 years old. This beautifully written play, Denis O'Hare and Lisa Peterson wrote this script, and I've had the opportunity to see it in a number of performances across the country, and I have just always loved this play. It's a contemporary adaptation of Homer's The Iliad, right? So it's based on this story that is thousands and thousands of years old. That when it was first created, this story, right, Homer used to wander from town to town telling people this story. And so the whole play, the idea is that this storyteller who exists today has been wandering the world, telling us this story, and telling us the story, of the Trojan War and also of all wars, right? It's a play about what does war do to us? Who are we as people? Why are we filled with rage as human beings? Can we control that rage? How do we channel that rage, right? How do we stand up for the people that we love? How do we stand up for ourselves in moments of bravery? And then what are our moments of great darkness, right? Where we're violent against each other. And so those are the big, hard questions of this play. But what I find so beautiful and hopeful and uplifting about this story is the play says that if we keep telling stories, we keep doing plays, we keep gathering together, that we can hope to change the future of the world, right? And there's a one actor, one musician. The actor is called the poet. And so the character of the poet says, every time I sing this song, right, tell this story, I hope it's the last time. And so there's this chance of, like, if we can take the lessons that theater teaches us, and Julie, right, I'm thinking about your Columbus Black Theater Festival performances, and some of those plays had really critical messages. And maybe if we listen to the plays, we listen to the storytellers, we can build a better future for ourselves. And so that's where this story and this play comes from. And when I was thinking about, what story we might want to tell to end this season, knowing that we were going to go outside for COVID safety. So we've partnered with the Wexner Center for the Arts to use the Browning Amphitheater at the Ohio State University's campus. It's this beautiful setting right by Mirror Lake. And we've just been outside there practicing and getting ready for audiences.
That sounds so exciting. And you are so right. The Black Theater Festival's theme was say something, it might change something. And it sounds like this play is doing that same thing.
Exactly.
And I think it's really telling that how we as storytellers, because, I'm a playwright too, how we as storytellers, one of the things that we want to do is say something that might change. And in what you just described about this story is just that. Of hoping, we're telling the story, hoping for some type of change, hoping that we won't have to keep continuing to tell the story.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you said it's actually two actors. How did you go about finding your actors for this? And what's special, were there any skills that they had to do? Because they're almost like they're monologues, right?
Yeah.
Almost, instead of a one man woman show, it's a 2-person show. Talk about that.
Yeah. So Angela, who plays the poet, she's the only actor in this play who speaks. And Stephen plays this character called the Muse. He's a violinist, and Stephen plays music. So Angela has, the entire play is her talking. And then Stephen comes on a little bit into the play, and his entire role in the play is playing this music. So they kind of both have these monologues, right, that tie together. And Angela, actually, this kind of wonderful worlds colliding. Angela grew up in Columbus, left Columbus, went to school at Wright State, ended up Chicago, Milwaukee, was acting in Milwaukee for a long time. I've known Angela for over 10 years. I have been admiring her work. I think she's just a fantastic, amazing performer. The opportunities I've had to work with her, I've just been so amazed by her presence on stage, the detail, the movement work, the voice work, the way that she's able to embody all these different characters that I've had the great privilege to see her play over the last 10, 12 years almost. And the week that I was moving to Columbus, I saw Angela post on Facebook, "Big news, I'm moving to Ohio." And I said, "Where in Ohio?" And she said, "Columbus." And so basically, I think a week or 2 weeks apart, we both drove moving vans across the country to move here together. So we're just so excited to kind of be reunited in this moment, and it means the world to me to be working with somebody who I've known for a long time, and then all of these wonderful new artists I'm meeting in Columbus, and building this story together. So that's where Angela came from. And then Stephen Spotswood. Stephen is a hip hop violinist, and he has played all over Columbus. Is a teacher, a music teacher, and a performer. And Stephen was connected through a friend of a friend of a friend. Right? You kind of get the word out, and so Stephen and I met, and he showed me how he plays, and he just has such a amazing repertoire and skill sets of the things he can make the violin do, right? There are melodic sounds, there are more kind of classical sounds you might hear on the violin. He also has this amazing ear for taking hip hop beats that he creates himself, right? That we play over speakers, and then he plays on top of them with these amazing rhythms and melodies, and also then just percussive sounds. So when Angela's shooting an arrow, he can make these sounds with the violin that you go, whoa, right? You feel the things fly through the air. So he's the sound, he creates all the sound effects for the play. And then he also, and this is all music he's come up with himself. He also has chosen these bits of music that kind of tell us how to feel or release us into a new moment. And the two of them are on stage together the whole show, figuring out how to tell this story.
So, okay, so what you're saying is, so this collaboration that you guys have done. So it was the written word already there, and then
Yeah.
you guys added and then you said, okay, we've got this play and how we're going to present it. And
Yes.
as the director decided, well, let's present it like that. Is that how that happened?
Yeah, and the playwrights, right, who wrote it 10 or so years ago, the playwrights said, there is probably a musician in this play, or there's certainly music, and you can do the play with a live musician on stage. You can do the play with more than one musician on stage, or you can do the play with sound cues piped in through a speaker system, right? You get to
Okay.
decide as the director the way you want to see this play work. I've seen it done before with a cello. I was talking to some drummers, and finally landed on Stephen and his violin and the amazing things he can do with it.
That is so interesting. And for me, as a person who loves the word and loves music, and and then isn't it wonderful when you are doing a piece of work and the playwright is still alive and available?
Yes.
So that you can, get permission and get feedback and know that they are in agreement with what you're trying to do to bring their piece of work to life. Who's
Yeah.
directing that?
I'm directing it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't say that.
Yeah.
So your directed skills which I can't, I really want to see this. And it's outdoors, and I want to bring my grandsons to see it, because I think outdoor theater is so good.
Yeah.
Especially if the weather's good. What
Yes,
are you
I know,
guys
right?
going to
All the
do?
fingers crossed on the weather.
Yeah. So do you have a backup plan if the weather's bad?
Yeah. No. this is a play that, we talked about various backup plans and how that might work, but this is a play that needs to be done outside. The whole show is designed around this space. And so if it rains, we're just gonna not do it that night and do it later. And we're gonna hold off as long as we possibly can. Even just yesterday, the weather was changing so much. I thought it was gonna rain all night. And because we waited to decide until right before rehearsal, we actually got to go outside and it didn't rain on us one bit. So the whole run, we're going to make the calls as late as possible. And if we have to start half an hour later, we'll let people know. We do have a virtual option. So we're going to film it. And during the second weekend of the run, it will be available for people who, for all sorts of reasons, can't make it in person.
Yes, that is one aspect that I'm glad, and there's always something good come out of bad, because coming out of COVID for us, as far as in the theater world, it gave us an opportunity to reach those people that are homebound, sick,
Yep.
In the hospital,
Yep.
just can't get out because
Exactly.
they're bedridden, and which we hadn't even. And it's not that we didn't consider people like that.
Hmm.
It's just that the theater, is live on stage.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are. That's where our focus was.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't even be thinking like that.
Uh-huh.
We wouldn't.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it
We
has
just
nothing
thought
to
about a
do
whole
with
new
not
way to
thinking
reach
about
people.
people. Right.
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with it. It just has to do with what it was.
Yeah.
What the genre that it was,
Right.
live
Uh-huh.
theater.
Exactly.
So I'm really glad to hear, that
Yeah.
there'll be opportunity, especially for parents and stuff that may want their children to see this, and to also get help them think outside of the box.
Yes. Yeah,
You
and
know,
we're recommending this show for, I think, 13 and up. It's a show that deals with war, and so there are lots of depictions and conversations from the poet about the gruesome nature of war and what that looks like. And I always kind of hate putting age recommendation rules on things. I think people know the children in their life and the conversations they're ready to have. So I think this is a really great piece for middle schoolers, high schoolers to come see and think about, and both the artistry involved in making this, and then the story. I think it's an important story we all got to start talking about. But I do want your viewers to know that this is a probably scary show for 6-year-olds, in terms of the content that it talks about.
yeah, that's why I brought that up, because sometimes when you think about CATCO, and people may automatically think about CATCO kids, and
Exactly. Yep.
and don't understand sometimes that there's two separate. There's the
Right.
CATCO, and then there's the CATCO kids, which you
Yeah.
can bring any age to the CATCO kids.
Uh-huh.
But when we do, CATCO, you do want to be more mindful of the
Yeah.
work that is being produced under that,
Hmm.
just CATCO level versus CATCO
Yeah.
kids. So I'm glad we brought that up. So what days is this play going to be live presented, and how can they get the information for it? And just tell us about that, because I'm sure people are going to want to put this on their calendar.
Yeah. So our first performance is this Thursday. So it is on the 15th. July 15th, Thursday, is our first preview performance. Right. The preview means that we get to make some little tweaks and changes afterwards. And then our official opening night is Friday, July 16th. All of our shows are at 8 p.m. So you can kind of watch the sun set. And as it gets darker, we'll bring in lighting that illuminates the story in different ways. So we always start at 8 p.m. at the Browning Amphitheater at OSU. And this first weekend, we run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, always at 8 o'clock. And then we only have one more weekend, so you've got to act quickly. One more weekend, July 22nd through the 25th. We also have shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8 o'clock.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead on and make sure that I make plans on what's the weather going to be, and try to get there on that day when it's,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but,
and we'll have a whole system too, right? If you buy a ticket on Thursday and it gets rained out, that you can call the ticket office and they can arrange for you to come on Friday. So we've worked out those systems so that hopefully as many people get to see the show as possible. And all of that information is at catco.org. where you can buy tickets both for in-person, and there's a link to buy the virtual option if that's what's best for you.
All right. Well, once again, Leda, I'm so happy to spend this time with you to talk about what you're doing at CATCO and letting our audience know that we're alive,
We're doing it. We're doing a play in person with people.
We're on the stage with
We
an
are.
audience that is right there clapping and cheering us on. All right. Well, I look so forward. Once again, what's the name of this play?
An ILIAD.
An ILIAD. I look forward to seeing that. And it was just great to see you two at the Columbus Black Theater Festival. We finally got to meet in person after a year of Zoom.
I know.
So, and welcome again to Columbus. And I can't wait to see what you have done with this next production from CATCO. Thank you for joining me, Julie Whitney Scott, your producer and host of Let's Talk Theater, a Mind for God Productions sponsored event, heard only on WGRN LP 94.1. For the full video interview, go to my Julie Whitney Scott Facebook page.